welcome to another episode of Routes Through Pokemon. We are on Detour number 4. I'm Shaylock.
I'm Ruby.
And today we have joining with us
Flame
and
Rosella.
As we cover their journeys through the Pokemon Crystal and Silver games. Ruby and I haven't done much except for evolve more Pokemon, and she had caught a Pokemon last time, and so in Silver and Crystal, I went to the National Park just to see if I could find the Sunkerns, realizing that it was easier than I expected, and I didn't need to look for a swarm or wait for a phone call. So, found Sunkerns for them as well, so we all have those. And then I did one more thing in Crystal that we can't do in Gold and Silver, and that was the Battle Tower. I decided to try it out for the first time, and that was an experience that left me humbled, and I'll try to tackle it again sometime in the future.
How exactly what happened in the battle tower?
Okay, so the Battle Tower is set up where you're only allowed to bring 3 Pokemon with you.
Oh.
Okay? No items are allowed to be used in battle. You can give an item to a Pokemon, whether that's a berry or, whatever enhances their abilities or whatever. Okay? And then you set the level. So for me, I had the levels to choose from of like 10, 20, or 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe? I don't know. They're all like and so the highest level Pokemon you can bring with you are whatever that level you set. You can bring lower. And I didn't have a bunch of 40, and I was just trying it out. I wasn't going to get deep down and gritty with this yet, so I'm like, I'll just bring these few Pokemon. They're pretty strong. They're already kind of in my party. One of them is at level 40, and we'll just start with 40. I didn't start with 10. I'm like, let's just dive into 40. And you have to beat I don't know how many he said, 7 trainers or something, and they all have 3 Pokemon, and you go as far as you can. If you make it to the end, you get a prize.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but no stopping and going to heal?
I don't know. I didn't beat my first trainer.
How'd you not beat him?
Well, my Pokemon were particularly ill-fitted for his Executor that he threw at me. I was not, and of course they were at level 40, where not all my Pokemon were that high. So I got wiped pretty good. And I'm like, I have other things I need to do. I will tackle this later. So that was my first experience with the Battle Tower. And from my understanding, you can do higher levels, but I was only allowed to go up to level 40 at the time, I think. So I don't know if you have to get more badges or what to be able to go into the higher rankings, but
I bet so.
Yeah, probably.
What height of level do Pokemon obey you? Do you know?
I think it's still 75.
Oh, okay. If it was 40, that would make sense.
No, with the 6th badge, it went up to 75. So when we get the 8th badge, it'll finally be 100, I think.
Wait, is 100 the max level of Pokemon?
Yes. And I only ever got one Pokemon up that high, I think, in blue. And that was my Jolteon.
Yes.
Because I was going through the Elite Four over and over again, because you can keep replaying them. And I did that to keep leveling up Pokemon, so I could evolve all my Pokemon, so I could fill out my Pokedex. And Jolteon was well-suited for a lot of the battles. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so he leveled up pretty quick. I've also brought Jolteon over from Blue now, so it's in my Silver game, and I have used him. He doesn't always listen, but I have used him.
So I leveled up my Typhlosion enough where it can one-shot water Pokemon. And it one-shotted a Tentacruel before.
Well, it depends on the level of the water Pokemon.
I've one-shotted a lot of water Pokemon, but some of them are really hard.
I mean, when me and Ruby were evolving our Pokemon just on the coastline of Cyanwood, we just kept hitting Tentacruels over and over again, and I got to the point where my Golbat, who I'm trying to get to a Crobat, and did eventually, he learned Wing Attack, and that could one-shot almost all the Pokemon at the level he was at. And that has nothing to do with type advantage or weakness or anything. It was stronger than them, and he had a strong attack.
Makes sense.
Alright, so I think that's all I have to say about my stuff. Do you have anything you want to add, Ruby?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
I've just been leveling up Pokemon.
Fun. So, I just realized we kind of skipped our preliminaries of just kind of catching up on things. Was there anything interesting enough that you wanted to catch up on? I know we recently had a Totodile Community Day this last weekend, and I caught a few shiny, but all my prizes from the actual research have not been shiny.
I didn't get any shine.
I have caught 2 shiny Clam Pearls, though. Hopefully I can get them to evolve into the 2 different things, because they're random evolution. Kind of like Eevee.
I didn't catch a single one that day. My phone locked already.
Oh, you already used up all your time?
Correct. Because I didn't have anything to do that day. Like, it was a pretty slow day for me.
A phone that you actually have access to now because you have a phone again?
Oh, yeah, my phone. I got a new phone.
We played Doors that day.
Oh, yeah. That's what used up most of my time, the phone.
How about you, Rosella? Did you do any Totodile catching on Community Day?
Well, so I did get the text. I was like, it's Totodile. And then I just kind of forgot.
Oh, that's fine. I mostly wanted Ruby to know since she's actually playing the game with, for Alligator now, in Pokemon Gold.
Yeah.
It's just not my favorite Pokemon.
But he's so cute and funny in the anime.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
No, he is cute and funny.
And last night, my little brother, he's like 1. He pooped all up his back, so I had to give him a bath. And he kept shivering, but every time he started to shiver, he'd dance. And it just made me think of Totodile.
Yeah, I think, your youngest sibling and Totodile seem to have a lot in common. Specifically, they love to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And just a lot of joy and happiness a lot of the time.
Oh, I got a fish. I named it Pearl, and she's a girl. And Daddy thought that was funny because I'm Ruby, and the next games are Ruby and Sapphire.
And the ones after that are
Just a minute. Diamond and Pearl?
Diamond and Pearl.
And I didn't even do that on purpose. I just was like, ooh, Pearl's a good name.
Yep. I did think that was funny, and I can't believe, but we actually forgot to mention the whole Rubies, Sapphires, Diamonds, and Pearls that was mentioned in Mantine Overboard, the anime episode. That's where the sunken treasure, the silver wing. And they're like, well, what could be down there? What kind of treasure? Is it rubies and sapphires, diamonds and pearls? Which was hilarious because I don't necessarily think they knew that they were going to name the next ones Diamond and Pearl, but they definitely knew Ruby and Sapphire were at least on their way. They were working on them at the point because they already showed some of the Pokemon. And so just that they named like the next 4 games, if you're not including the third ones, Emerald and Platinum, I thought was really funny.
I agree.
I like how we're naming our pets after ores. I named my cat Opal.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't have a pet.
I do. His name is Flame.
That's me.
Again, you were barking like a dog earlier.
Good point.
Thank you.
All right. So now we will jump into what Rosella and Flame have been doing. And then, just so you guys all have a heads up, after that, we will go over our Ruby's and I's new Pokedex entries for the ones we've evolved and the new one we caught. And then we're going to tackle the entirety of Pokemon Adventures Manga Volume 11. All right, so let's start with Rosella. She had just finished like Cyanwood Gym and stuff, I think, when we were recording on air last time. So you were in Olivine. Oh, that's right. You had to go back and forth to heal the Pokemon because you forgot to go up there the first time, and then you had to go get the medicine and all that, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I said this last time, but I was like, how do I get up there? Because I saw an area where there was no doors, no stairs, except for ones that led up more. I'm like, how do I get there? And then I accidentally fell through the black pit, and I'm like, that makes more sense. And then, I went over to the gym, and I just flame wheeled my way through again with Typhlosion.
Which is actually great in that gym because you're dealing with steel Pokemon, which fire is good against. Were you surprised about all the trainers inside the gym?
I was not actually really surprised on, there was no trainers.
No, really? Because most of them have them.
I know, but, almost going and healing the Pokemon was the challenge instead of just a bunch of trainers.
Which had a bunch of trainers in it.
Oh, going up the
Lighthouse.
I didn't understand going and healing the Pokemon. I was like,
Yeah, Ampharos. Amphi. Or Sparkle, according to the anime.
come on.
And then, we went to a cave. I can't remember what cave.
Oh, that's right. So you finished Olivine, so you had to backtrack all the way through Ecruteak and finally go the other direction that Ruby and I did first just to go get the Lake of Rage Pokemon. And so to get across, you couldn't just surf, or you can go through the mountain, which is called Mount Mortar.
Yeah. And then we were going through, and then we were all, me, Shaylock, and Ruby were confused because, we couldn't go anywhere else. And then I'm like, there's a boulder that I think we could move.
Yeah, see, I thought there was supposed to be one that need to be moved with strength, but I couldn't remember where it was.
And then I spotted it. And so we explored, and my cave was a little different from theirs.
Yeah, yours is set up different. But then you wandered around there for a bit, and then you needed to take a break, right?
I think I got up to the Lake of Rage, and then
Oh, did you get up to Lake Rage?
yeah, I got up there, and then I was like, I don't want to go and fight a big Pokemon right now.
You were getting tired of fighting Pokemon.
Yeah, you're getting sick of all the random battles in Mount Mortar.
I've gotten used to them by now. Granted, I haven't used repels, so I've just gotten used to it. Probably from leveling up and stuff.
Are you still enjoying the game?
Yes. I just need to take breaks.
Understandable. Now, let's catch up with Flame. Last we knew, he was struggling against Morty, the ghost gym leader in Ecruteak City.
Well, I've beaten him. I've beaten him, like, pretty much right after that recording.
Okay, and did you activate the Pokemon in the Burn Tower?
I do not think so. I kind of explored it, but I couldn't figure out where to go.
So you never went down to the basement level?
Is that where you can fall through a black... or one of the holes?
Yeah, you fall through a hole.
Yeah, I've explored down there a bit.
And you went up to the top area where there's those 3...
I couldn't find that.
You just walk up. It's like 2 steps when you fall down.
There's multiple black holes.
Oh, that's right, if you went on the edges. But still, all you have to do is go up the stairs. And it activates the 3 legendary beasts. So that they're out in the wild, so you can start to run into them and try to catch them.
When I saw them, they looked like creepy statues.
They did?
I didn't like it.
Alright, I'll have to check that out again.
Yeah, because that's... if you don't activate them, you're not going to be able to get, or even have a chance to get Entei, Raikou, or Suicune.
I've already run into them.
I want to get Suicune. I find Suicune really cool.
Rosella and myself, and if Serenity plays anymore, we're pretty much guaranteed to get Suicune, I believe. Because Suicune doesn't show up randomly for us, and it's part of, there's a storyline for it in Crystal.
I saw Suicune.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I saw Suicune after that, so yay.
Yeah, we fought it on the beach of Cyanwood. Well, sorry, we didn't fight Suicune. We found Suicune and fought Isween.
He's a dork.
He's funny.
Yeah. Especially in the manga. So, yeah, I beat the Ghost Gym. Got that badge.
And then you had a choice. You could go left, or west, or right, east. And what did you do?
I ended up going through a cave and coming out in a city where they wouldn't let me into the gym because they said I should.
You
take
mean
some
a
sightseeing.
cave like she called it a cave, but Mount Mortar?
Yeah, Mount Mortar.
Yes, you went through Mount Mortar. And then what did you do when you got to that next town, which is called Mahogany Town?
Oh yeah, okay. So I got into Mahogany Town. I tried to go through I tried to start fighting the gym. Found out I couldn't because that guy was like, "You must have taken a long time to get here. Take some sightseeing. Go see what's going on at Lake Rage." And I'm like, whatever, dude. And then I try to go out what I thought was an exit of the town, and I'm like, oh, there's a guy standing there. I'm probably going to have to do a trainer battle. I walk in front of him. He alerts, and I'm like, yep, it's a trainer battle. He walks in front of me, pushes me back, and is like, do you want to buy a power bar? I'm like,
Rage Candy Bar.
Rage Candy Bar. And I'm like...
A Rage Power Bar? Rage something bar.
And I'm like, what the heck? Just let me through. And I kept saying no, and then finally I said yes, and I'm like, maybe you'll leave me alone now. I tried going through it, he's like, do you want to buy a candy bar? I'm like, no!
I just bought one because I wanted one.
Ruby and I think both did too.
But
Just to see what might come from that.
But I ended up not selling it like I was planning to, and it actually helped me keep my Pokemon alive. So.
Oh, really? So you've used one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested to hear about that. Where did you use it?
I think against the Silver Gyarados.
Silver Gyarados?
The Red Gyarados.
The red Gyarados.
I thought red was silver. Oh, shiny! I meant to say shiny.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was like...
Yes, shiny.
I thought you meant shiny, but red, silver? What?
By the time I got to Lake Rage, I was burning with rage. Because of all the annoying Pokemon and trainers. Like, Farfetch is like, I'm here.
And you're going to have to be used to that.
I will. But I just didn't want to catch a Farfetch'd at the time.
And on my way up to Lake Rage...
Oh, yes.
The first time, on my way up, I saw this little building, and I'm like, oh well, I'm just gonna walk through it, because it's like, well, it's a normal part of the game. So I go in, and 2 people stop me, and like, the toll fee is $1,000. I'm like, I only have like $20. And they're like, oh, you don't have that? Well, just give us what you have. And then I go through again, now that I'm at $0. And they're like, give us $1,000. Oh, you don't have that? Well, give us what you can.
Which is funny. So that means he lost less than we did, Ruby, because he just didn't have the money.
Because I spent it all on Pokeballs and Repels.
And didn't do any trainer battles.
I was just told to stay
Yeah,
away
that too.
from the building.
Yeah, I told Rosella, don't touch the building.
I went through the building, and we didn't reset because we're like, oh, that's part of the
Yeah.
experience.
But we didn't start going through the building. We actually went the other way first.
Yeah, because we don't.
Because we figured the building was the direction you're supposed to go.
But then I went through again to see what happened, and they take $1,000 again, so I just reset because I wanted to keep that 1,000.
So we only lost 1,000. So you got through there and you went up to Lake of Rage. Did you battle and capture the Red Gyarados?
I accidentally KO'd him.
You KO'd the Red Gyarados?
Yeah, I kept trying to capture him, but he almost had all my Pokemon defeated, and I didn't have any revives.
That's why you save beforehand and try again.
I also forgot to do that, and I was in the other town. I was in a different town than the last time I saved.
Oh, man.
So I just ended up KOing him with Geodude, who's I named Dwayne.
Oh, because Dwayne the Rock?
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
I know.
I love it. No, that's great. That's a great name for your Geodude. All right.
Not according to the name raider.
Well, the name raiders thought Zzz was a good name, so whatever. So, I'm guessing it just all plays out the same. So you actually defeated the Gyarados where we caught ours. And so then what happens after that?
I got like a shiny scale or something.
Oh, yeah, we got the red scale, too. You want to take that to Mr. Pokemon. You want to take that to Mr. Pokemon.
Who's Mr. Pokemon?
He's the first person you have to visit in the beginning of the game. After you talk to Professor Elm, he's like, here, take this to Professor Oak at Mr. Pokemon's place, or take it to Mr. Pokemon, and Professor Oak will be there.
Okay.
So you want to go to that place
Alright.
and give him the red scale.
It's gonna be so much nicer now that I've fly. Wait, I haven't talked about getting fly yet.
That's okay. You have it. We know. That's cool, but let's go back to Gyarados.
Oh, not much.
No, well, there's plenty that happened.
So not much different, I believe, happened.
Yeah, probably not.
So I got the red scale. I'm like, was I supposed to defeat him? Was it impossible to capture him? Because I used like 3 Great Balls on him.
Oh, you should listen to the episode where I talked about my experience.
So I left, and then
Did you talk to anybody on the near the shore there that recently arrived?
yeah, Isween or something. That's my guess. I don't think he told me his name.
Eastwing's not in our game.
Oh.
Yeah. He's only in Crystal, I think.
Oh.
Lance of the Elite Four from Red and Blue.
Oh.
He's not a bad guy in the games. He's a bad guy in the manga.
Oh, really? That's right. Oh, I was like, why is he helping us with that?
You got confused. The manga confused you.
Yeah, he told me that there was some suspicious rocket activity. And so then I went back to the store because I wanted to buy some more heals. And he was there, and he used an attack on some dude who was dancing around in circles.
You accidentally run into him instead of nowhere to go. It didn't happen to Ruby and I because we talked to everybody beforehand.
You talk to everybody.
True.
And I listen to your
Hey,
conversations.
you talked to the guy that talked about the Red Gyarados and just didn't realize he said Red Gyarados.
That's true. Which you were happy about.
I was happy about that.
So then I stood there for the little cutscene, and then I discovered that that was a Team Rocket thing, and then I'm like, I might as well see if I can still buy stuff before I go down there. And he's like, dang it, how'd he find us? He's complaining.
Yeah, because when we went there, first of all, we noticed that the Pokemart, like the place where you can buy stuff, was different than they usually are.
I noticed that, dude. I'm like, oh, what else?
But we also talked to the guy that was in there, because I always talk to everybody. And that guy said something about, like, he was being super suspicious about radio signals or something like that. And that's so when Lance says, we have to go find out where the rocket activity is, I knew that was a guy I had to go visit. The Rage Candy Bar guy and that guy were my 2 prime suspects.
And then I went to the Rocket Hideout.
Yep.
And then I discovered that the statues were signals, or like tripwires and stuff, that launched 3 Team Rocket guys at me. And then I snuck around for a bit trying to find the power switch to make them stop.
Yeah, you stopped that right off the bat instead of battled every single one like I and Ruby did.
I probably could turn it back on if I need to.
I don't know if you can. I've never tried.
And then I'm like, wait, he looks like... Or I saw the Rage Candy Bar guy. It looked like he was packing up or something. And I'm like, I'm going to see if I can go through now. And then he still pushes me back. I'm like, oh, he's probably still selling. Leave me alone, kid. I'm packing up. I was leaving you alone. You're the one who's pushing me behind.
When was he packing up? Sorry. After the headquarters?
Yeah. So then I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to go see if I can find a new town. Oh no, I fought the gym first, which was really annoying for me because I did not figure out that puzzle.
What
very
puzzle?
Quickly.
I haven't been there.
So there was this ice puzzle. So whenever you stepped on a block of ice, you just kept going in that direction until you hit something.
That's
There's a lot of old Nintendo games and stuff that have puzzles like that. I like them. They're kind of fun.
That's kind of cool. That'll be fun to
despise them.
I've played puzzles like that before.
Yeah.
Oh, is it kind of like the twisty things that we did before?
Twisty thing?
Where they made you spin and keep going?
It's probably going to be just like that.
One of the Team Rocket hideout things? The hideout defense?
I think it was in Red and Blue.
It was. It was in Team Rocket headquarters. And also in Sylph Company, there was a spot.
I remember doing that and being so frustrated.
Ruby was too. She's like, it's hard. I'm like, it's not really.
Oh, the ice gym is going to be like that?
Probably similar.
Very similar.
Great.
So
I guess with ice though, there's a little bit of difference. In the arrow places, the arrows carry you, and they can hit another arrow that carries you in another direction. Whereas ice just goes straight. Like you can't hit anything that suddenly sends you a different direction. You'd have to actually choose to go another direction.
Unless you get thrown into a corner or something.
Well, then you're forced to choose a direction, but still, you technically have two directions probably.
Just go back to where you were, or
The new direction, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is it like that one where it's like almost a conveyor belt and you just like you have to figure out which way to go?
Kind of.
Yeah. So I kept going, and then eventually just started having fun with it, because I was absolutely bored out of my mind trying to figure that out. And I'm pretty sure I fought every single trainer there.
You make that sound like that's an unusual thing. That's what Ruby and I always do.
I don't. If I can avoid them, I do avoid them.
Didn't we one time take the hard route on purpose and then take the easy route because there were two options, and the guy's like, oh, you chose the easy route, huh? And we're like, we already finished the hard one.
Yeah, I think so. We're always trying to take because like I like to figure out how to avoid them, but I still want to fight every single one of them.
Obviously.
I think only in one gym I didn't fight like one person, but otherwise I fought all of them. It was with the person who was crying.
Oh, Whitney?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Little baby.
I think I missed one trainer in that place, but otherwise I don't try and go around people.
She actually defeated me the first time.
We didn't talk about that. Whitney defeated you the first time?
Yeah.
Nice! Oh, okay, let me explain. So, I have learned from talking to, Frank, and even before Frank, I've seen online and stuff, and everybody has this, they'll post memes of Whitney and be like, oh, the real ones remember, you just roll out. You lose to roll out every time. The first time you come to Whitney, she obliterates you, and then you learn and you defeat her the second time. But I didn't really know that when Ruby and I got to Whitney, and we just easily dispatched her. It wasn't hard.
I didn't have any heals, and all the other guys weakened me.
I don't think I healed either. We just leveled up our Machop and kicked butt. Because they're normal type Pokemon and fighting's great. So anyway, we just plowed through. And so then I was like, when I found out that this is possibly a hard thing, I was I started investigating. I'm like, is this actually hard? And Frank confirmed it for me that he lost the first time, and he's replaying the game basically by playing the remake, Heart Gold. And when he got to Whitney, he did it again. He lost the first time because it'd been years. And he's like, oh, right, I remember this. And then he beat her the second time. And so then when I was talking to Rosella and Serenity, when they defeated Whitney, they also did it on their first try. So I'm like, what is this? How are we doing this? And everybody else is always like, so I'm glad we have somebody who's actually lost the first time.
That's because I've only been, leveling up a single Pokemon.
But you're not alone. This is not an abnormal thing. This is normal for people to have lost first time around. So, but it wasn't normal for our family, so I was confused.
It's still not normal for our family.
Well, I know, but at least we have somebody who did the normal thing.
It's just because we're amazing at Pokemon.
I don't think that's true, but Anyway, I was just excited to hear that somebody actually got to experience this.
But I defeated her the second time, and it was annoying that she was crying and didn't give me the gym badge. And
Yeah. Yep.
Turns out I had to talk to her again.
Well, that was something Rosella and Serenity also missed. So.
How did we get to this point?
I don't know. You were talking about losing to Whitney.
I was talking about all the trainers I fought and I missed one.
Oh, that's right. That's why we got to Whitney.
So when she defeated me the first time, I already experienced on where all the trainers were at, so I knew how to avoid them a bit better. The ones that were avoidable. So originally I just kept going like in a straight square shape, which made me like run into pretty much every single one. And then the next time I discovered that there was a fork that allowed me to avoid one of them. Or more than one, I think.
If you go to the right and fight the trainer up there who blocks your path when you do so, and then leave the gym and come back in, she won't be blocking it anymore, and she won't attack you again, and therefore you skip almost every trainer.
What?
But you have to backtrack because she moves and blocks the path because it's a shortcut up there. But all you have to do is leave the building and come back, and she resets. But she doesn't try to battle you again because you've already beat her.
Isn't there this type of item that makes everybody on the screen want to battle you again?
There's definitely an item that does that, at least in Fire Red and Leaf Green that we used.
Because I remember when I did want to fight a bunch of trainers, I kept using that.
Same here. I kept using it on the bikers at the top of the bike path. So anyway, back to your journey. After beating, you finally somehow got through the ice people.
By accident.
Right.
When I was goofing off, I found it by accident.
Sounds
I'm like,
about right.
wait, how am I in front of the leader? And then I started backtracking to figure it out again so I could easily do it again in the future if I wanted to. So, I figured that out. I have it slightly memorized. I probably forgot the majority of it. So I defeated them, and then I started looking for the new town, and I'm like, I can't go that way. There's nothing at the top of this
You can't
hill.
go what way?
I can't go past the rage guy.
So he's still there after you beat the gym?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good to know. So what you've done so far is you went through Mount Mortar, got to Mahogany Town, did the Lake of Rage, did the Team Rocket headquarters, and then Ruby and I also did that because we wanted to do the Lake of Rage. Partly because that's where the manga was going, and I wanted to keep the manga chapters being read and continue to record, talking about the progress in that story. So we decided to take that route, but then we did not do the 7th gym, even though it was open now, because we wanted to do the gyms in order to the game. Well, I did. Ruby
you keep
disagreed.
saying we, but it was really you making all those decisions.
I made all the decisions. So, you fought the gym, we didn't. And that's why I was curious if the guy was still there blocking your path, the Rage Candy Bar guy. So, now you are traveling the same way we did. You end up going west of Ecruteak City.
Correct. Which I didn't think of an option before. I thought that was a dead end.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, yeah, you get to choose. And so then you go through there and there's a farm eventually. Did you do anything at the farm?
Oh yeah, I fed them a berry. Are you only able to feed them like berries?
I don't know exactly, but I know it's berries. I don't know if you can do different kinds of berries or not.
I tried feeding it an ice berry and it says you don't have any berries.
Oh, so you need to have regular berries. So just get more, because in Crystal I finished feeding it. You have to feed it a lot.
Cool.
If you want a TM. That's all you get out of it, I think. But
what TM?
I don't even remember. Cool. But I like to accomplish everything I can in the games, so I'm going to do it even if I never use the TM.
Wasn't it Rock Smash?
What?
She asked if it was Rock Smash.
We got Rock Smash by the fat guy outside of the ruins of Alf, and you randomly talked to him and got it after we moved the Sudowoodo tree?
I thought that was a claw. No, we got that in the national park.
Oh! Thank you for telling me, because I've been looking for Rock Smash.
You might need to go back.
I will.
That one I actually would have missed too. Ruby because I already talked to him before, and I didn't talk to him the second time.
This was like when I was just starting the game, so I was like, I'm going to talk to a lot of people. Then it started getting annoying.
Anyway.
I'm trying to remember if I realized that he was complaining about the path before.
Yeah, he did talk about the tree before. Like it was blocking the path.
Yeah, beforehand he had talked about how you didn't like the tree. I think I just randomly talked to him. I don't think there was any...
Yeah, I should have remembered that he probably would say something new now that the tree was moved, but...
I think it was probably because I was lost, so I was like, ooh, a new guy.
Yeah, you're always lost.
Not anymore.
So when I got to the next town...
Olivine?
Olivine. Yep, I was going straight for the gym after... Or no, I went to the Poke Center, healed, saved, and then went to the gym, and I'm pretty sure there was just a guy blocking it yet again. and he told me that the gym leader was in there.
I don't think they were blocking. I think you could go in there. I don't remember.
But he said that the gym leader was in there, and I'm like, oh, great. Wait, Shaylock, Ruby, and Rosella keep mentioning stuff about a lighthouse, and this thing is really tall, looks like a lighthouse. I'm going in. I expected it to be more circular, but I'm like, wait, it can't really, because it's an older game. And then I started going up, finding some trainers, because I had to. And then I found out that she needed medicine from...
So you figured out the whole situation to get up to the top.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I used tips that I overheard, because, like, Rosella said that she realized she could fall through black holes.
So you remembered some of the conversations we had in the other episode that we recorded.
Yeah.
Not all of them, as we will find out.
Wait, what?
Continue.
Anywho, I found out that she needed the stuff, and so then since I already had swim, I started going. I got to the gym.
Did you stop by the Whirl Islands at all on the way to the gym?
Not.
Because you...
I did, but then I'm like, where's the gym at? And then I left after exploring the caves like a tiny bit.
Because you were able to get whirlpools, so you could cross whirlpools because of the 7th gym.
Yeah. And then I got to the next city. I talked to a bunch of people, and then healed, bought some revives, and went into the gym. I defeated all the, or not all of them, but some of the trainers in there, and realized I couldn't move forward. And when
Why not?
Because there was boulders blocking my path, and then I clicked on the boulders to see if I could move them, and it's like, it looks like a Pokemon could move this. I'm like, okay, now I need to talk to even more people.
Okay.
So I started talking to everybody in the
Hold
place.
on, though. So first off, when we recorded last time, we told you how important it was to talk to people because you were confused about a couple things, and you ended up getting the item finder because you started talking to people in Ecruteak City and all that stuff. You're like, oh yeah, I should talk to everybody. We made fun of you for it a little bit. And it was specifically told you by Rosella, I believe, that you need to make sure you're talking to everybody on your way down there because that's how you get strength so that you can keep going. And by the time you got to Olivine, you obviously forgot that conversation.
When I asked her about it, because I realized I needed strength, I asked her about it that night, and she said, oh, you don't have it? I don't remember where I got it.
Ruby and I didn't even remember we had it when we got to that point.
So I went all the way back, which wasn't actually as far as I thought it was.
Yeah, if you go the shortest direction, because there's multiple directions.
Yeah. Fought a couple more trainer battles, and then, thanks to Shaylock, he told me where to find it. So then I got it, and then I surfed back, finished that gym. Like, I got it all on my first try.
Nice.
Or, if you want to call it the first try.
Well, your first battle with the gym leader, you beat him.
Yes. And then I talked to a lady outside of the gym who said that she'd give me a prize if I defeated that gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got Fly.
Who was she?
I think it was her, or the gym leader's husband, or wife, I mean.
So, you got Fly, so then you're able to just fly to every town you've been to before.
Yes, which I'm so happy about. I could sell all the repels I have.
So, then did you get back to Olivine?
Yeah, and then I defeated that gym after delivering the medicine up
Sure.
the tower. It was so much nicer than it since I didn't have to battle anyone.
So now, both you and Rosella caught up to where we are. Rosella went a little further with Mount Mortar. But you technically are ahead of us because you've also beat the 7th gym, which we have not yet.
Correct.
But that's what Ruby and I will be doing in a couple episodes. Can't wait. Well, that's...
I don't know. The ice doesn't sound super great.
The ice is nice, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Sounds like you had a good time, but that means you also really just plowed through that game. Like, in the first one, you did 3 gyms, and then you just did 4 more gyms. So you caught up to us real fast. I mean, granted, you use repels, avoid trainer battles, and all that jazz. But
And yet still beat the gyms.
well,
not
you
all of
struggled a little on the 4th one.
Yes.
Well, cool. So, couple questions for both of you then. What has been your favorite part of playing these older Pokemon games so far?
Getting Fly.
Getting Fly. Like, what do you like most about the game?
Well, I just like really seeing the difference between like the newer games like Scarlet and Violet
And Sword and Shield?
and then the much older games like Gold and Silver. It's like a complete difference because you can like Like, it's so much more, like, colorful to me.
Yeah, it is really cool. And honestly, like, I knew that there was a huge difference because I grew up playing a lot of older games, right? So this is not that weird to me. But it definitely is a big difference, right? What was the biggest shock for me is when Ruby and I moved from red, blue, and yellow to gold and silver and crystal. Just the huge difference between those two, even though they're both like the same kind of style, was so big and like shocking to us. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. All right, so then you both chose Cyndaquil as your starters, and they're both Typhlosion now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Typhlosion, Cyndaquil, that whole line your favorite Pokemon in the game that you've been using and playing with and all that?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides him, what is the Pokemon that has been the most useful or fun for you?
Flame said he's only leveling up one Pokemon.
Well, Rosella's focused on Typhlosion quite a bit, too.
That's because it's my strongest, so I just keep using it, which keeps leveling it up.
I think my other one that I'm, like, really leveling up and stuff is Ghastly.
Yeah. Is he a hunter yet?
No, not yet. And every time one of my weaker Pokemon levels up, I'm like, yay, yeah. My happy dance.
Oh, the red scale that you got, when you take it to Mr. Pokemon, he'll give you an EXP share. And you can let a Pokemon hold that, and whenever you get experience points, the experience points for the Pokemon that you're using is cut in half, and half of it goes to the person holding the XP share. So, this will be a great way to level up other Pokemon while you just keep using your favorite.
And something interesting too is if give it to someone and say you're getting 800 XP, but you use two Pokemon, then each of those two Pokemon get 200, and the one with the XP share still gets like 400.
Because it still sends half the XP to the one with the XP share, while the rest is split up between whoever was used in battle. So, it is very useful.
Especially if you have Magikarp.
Although you don't need to worry about evolving him if you catch the red Gyarados. Okay, so, Flame, you haven't answered, have you?
Well, I'm leveling up Eevee, but I don't feel like it's my favorite. Or my second favorite. Probably Dwayne.
Dwayne?
I like it. Is he still just a Geodude?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a story for you.
I
about
hardly
Dwayne
ever
later.
use him because I have Eevee in my first spot, and then after Eevee gets down to low health, I switch to Typhlosion to finish it off.
Sure.
Do they get XP if they get knocked out?
No.
That would have been nice to know.
So then, I think my last question for now then for you two is, which gym has been your favorite? We all know that it's the 7th gym for Flame, or his 5th gym.
Absolutely not.
What has been your favorite gym / trainer? Like, why? What's your favorite gym so far and why?
Mine was, what's her name? The lighthouse.
Jasmine.
Yeah, my favorite is Jasmine because it was something different than just going into the gym, fighting other trainers with different things, and then, like, beating the trainer. This is when you actually had to go other places and do other stuff.
Sure.
Probably the Ghost Gym, and because of Invisible Floor. That was pretty cool.
I think I might also like Jasmine's gym the most. I like Jasmine, and just like there was like story involved there, right? With the healing her Pokemon, and they had a lighthouse too, which is a big plus for me. So not the gym, but just the whole plot. What about you, Ruby? What's been your favorite so far?
I do like the Ghost Gym because that was a cool thing, the floor and everything. But I think my favorite has been Jasmine's gym.
Yeah, I like the towns of Ecruteak and Olivine quite a bit. Although the theme for Goldenrod is my favorite. So, I think that covers everything, unless there's something else you wanted to share about your experiences so far, Flame and Rosella? No? Okay. So, then we will move on to our Pokedex entries.
Who's that Pokemon?
So first we have Furret, long body, number 162. There is no telling where the tail begins. Despite its short legs, it is quick at hunting Rattata.
What do you mean there's no telling where its tail begins? The vertebrae are different in a backbone and a tail. So is it all a tail?
Can you see the vertebrae when you're just looking at a Pokemon? An animal?
No, but there's a difference between a legless lizard and a snake because of that, so I would think that they'd be able to do the same.
I'm sure if you scientifically examined it, yes, but if you're just looking at
Carry on.
it. I'm guessing. I don't know. It's a Pokemon. It's Pokemon World.
It makes a nest to suit its long and skinny body. The nest is impossible for other Pokemon to enter.
It's like my pregnancy pill. It lives in narrow burrows that fit its slim body. The deeper the nests go, the more maze-like they become.
Poliwhirl, tadpole, number 61. The swirl in its belly subtly undulates. Staring at it may gradually cause drowsiness.
Though it is skilled at walking, it prefers to live underwater where there is less danger.
The skin on most of its body is moist. However, the skin on its belly spiral feels smooth.
Sunkern, seed, number 191. It is very weak. Its only means of defense is to shake its leaves desperately at its attacker.
Better get away from me!
It lives by drinking only dewdrops from under the leaves of plants. It is said that it eats nothing else.
It may drop out of the sky suddenly. If attacked by a Spearow, it will violently shake its leaves.
And then in silver, I named the Sunkern Colonel. And in crystal, it's Sunny, but Sonny.
That's what I was going to name mine, but I caught it first, so he got to name it first.
And what's yours?
I named it Hana-san.
It was full of puns. Granbull, fairy, number 210. Because its fangs are too heavy, it always keeps its head tilted down. However, its bite is powerful.
It is actually timid and easily spooked. If attacked, it flails about to fend off its attacker.
It's like the video of the girl with the fake snake one. It can make most any Pokemon run away simply by opening its mouth wide to reveal its big fangs. That is literally what possums do. Like, they can bite, but they're pretty docile. They just are like, ah! And it's like, oh my gosh, that's 700 sharp teeth, and no one wants to do anything with them.
Well, it's almost like Pokemon are based off a lot of real animals and things.
I mean, people always say possums play dead, but if they have a hound dog coming at them, they open those teeth wide, mouth wide. They don't open their teeth. That would be impressive.
Open their teeth to find more teeth. You'd be like, oh,
They
bye,
have
bye,
teeth
bye.
within their teeth. Alright.
Machoke, superpower, number 67. It always goes at its full power, but this very tough and durable Pokemon never gets tired.
This tough Pokemon always stays in the zone. Its muscles become thicker after every battle.
The muscles covering its body teem with power. Even when still, it exudes an amazing sense of strength.
Donphan, armor, number 232. Because this Pokemon's skin is so tough, a normal attack won't even leave a scratch on it.
The longer and bigger its tusks, the higher its rank in its herd. The tusks take long to grow. We learned that in the manga.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right. I remember hearing it before. It has sharp, hard tusks and a rugged hide. Its tackle is strong enough to knock down a house.
Whoa. All right. And that's our Pokedex entries this week. All right. Well, now that we've updated our Pokedex, it is time to jump into Pokemon Adventures Manga Volume 11. Starting with Adventure 130, Suddenly Suicune Part 1. So last we saw, Chris was sent off by Isween using his electrode or something to get to Ecruteak. And so we see Chris trying to get into the Burn Tower. And she gets a similar feeling she had the first time she met up with Suicune. The door is sealed and she guesses something happened during the earthquake to lodge it shut. So she uses Natty to get onto the roof and finds Suicune on one of the roof parts of Tin Tower. She challenges Suicune to a battle, and the Pokemon accepts. Every step of the way, Suicune seems to be dodging and countering attacks, but Chris keeps saying she planned for it, and it was a way to stay ahead of the very fast Suicune. So, for example, she sent some sleep powder that Suicune blew away, but not all of it, and Chris knew it wouldn't, and so Suicune would need to wash it off in the pond. That's where she had Mon Li already ahead of the game directing a Mega Punch that Suicune would dodge, but Chris's real target was the ground, which caused Suicune to fall. So see, she kept planning for what Suicune was going to do. Then Chris kicked over a heavy ball, and Suicune was sucked inside! Oh, and Chris had thrown all her Pokemon into battle while riding along on Isween's Electrode. And that was that chapter. So then we jump into Adventure 131, Suddenly Suicune Part 2. We cut to Isween with the knocked out Team Rocket Grunts. He wants to catch up to Crystal, and so he has some kind of propeller thing that pops out of his boot while he grabs hold of Jumpluff. So Jumpluff flies him, the propeller directs him. But before they get far, Eastween hears something. It's on a grunt, and so he pats down the unconscious enemy, and he seems to recognize whatever it is that he found. But we don't get answers right away, and go back to Crystal. Suicune howls as it is sucked into the heavy ball, and Chris celebrates too early because before she can announce that the capture is complete, Suicune breaks out. So she sets out to weaken Suicune with her Pokemon, and Boney goes in with a false swipe, but Suicune has created a crystal-like barrier around the tower. However, Boney's Bone Club is caught in the middle of the barrier, keeping it from being complete. So Crystal gets a message from Eastween from his Eastween doll that she still has, and he explains that the barrier is how Suicune keeps people from pursuing it when it leaves. Once the barrier is complete, Suicune will be gone again, and so Chris needs to keep that from happening. So she helps Boney with the Bone Club to keep a gap in the barrier, as Eastween tries to get to Tin Tower as fast as he can, with an item called the Clear Bell, which will get rid of the barrier. But the Bone Club is cracking, and it isn't looking good, and then the bone snaps, and the barrier looks like it is completed. Shards of crystal or bone break one of Chris's earrings, her Pokegear, and the Eastween doll, I think, as she falls off the Tin Tower roof.
The Pokegear was broken when she fell off the roof, because her backpack hit the ground. She mentions that later.
Eastween has lost her signal, and then we cut to a cloudy sky where some glittering bird flies around crying out, "Ho!" and leaving a rainbow in its wake. Does anybody have any guesses what that Pokemon was?
Ho-ho.
It's Ho-Oh, but yes.
Oh.
He's not Santa Claus.
Ho-ho. That sounds like what a little kid would call Santa Claus. Is Ho-ho coming?
So then we move on to Adventure 132, Suddenly Suicune Part 3. Eastween arrives and finds his doll destroyed. Then, Nati leads him to where Chris is slumped in Monlee's arms. Eastween takes over and rushes her into Tin Tower where he collides with the barrier, forgetting that the barrier has sealed the 7th floor and above. So he uses the Clear Bell, which doesn't get rid of the barrier, but it allows them to walk through it. At the top, there is the statue of Ho-Oh that we'd seen before when people went up into the tower when Gold and Silver went up there. And possibly Suicune tracks. But Eastween can't locate Suicune, and then Chris wakes up, surprised to see Eastween. He asks if Chris heard about the earthquake from a month back. So now we know Gold and Silver have been gone for at least a month. Eastween says it was remnants of Team Rocket that caused the earthquake, and it had sunk Tin Tower into the ground. But it was already rebuilt because it was a priority, partly because of that statue. He then explains that Morty, the Ecruteak gym leader, is a friend of his, just like in the video game. Because that was where we first meet Eastween and Crystal. Not that either of you know about that. They think Team Rocket thought destroying Ho-Oh's tower and town would cause the legendary Pokemon to show back up in anger. He then says despite Morty's effort to get it rebuilt, it seems it was too late because the statue is glowing. Legend says that when it glows, it means Ho-Oh is returning home, and so its wrath may soon descend upon Ecruteak. Then Eastween says he needs to leave to chase after Suicune because he is Eastween, the Suicune hunter, and it is what he lives for. He gives Chris a kiss on the back of her hand, which seems to freak her out, and makes Chikorita look very angry and menacing with razor-sharp teeth. Eastween leaps off the building and flies off using his Jumpluff, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring.
He did have a bell to make him
That's
be able to go through.
true, the Clear Bell. Oh, he also mentioned that Suicune was probably at Tin Tower to meet Ho-Oh. Chris is feeling bad for worrying Chikorita and for not understanding Suicune. She thought it headed to Burn Tower because that's where it came from, and then that it didn't create the barrier to keep from getting caught. It was strong enough on its own for that, it just didn't want to be interrupted when meeting with Ho-Oh. So she apologizes out loud to Suicune despite Suicune being long gone. Or is it? Both Eastween and Chris failed to realize the barrier still being intact means Suicune was still nearby. Sure enough, it stood watching Chris from the ground. Then it walked off, found the broken part of Chris's earring, and picked it up before walking away. We see the barrier vanish. Then Chris gets up and says there is no point being depressed about it and says she still has a lot of Pokemon to catch. Like a Psyduck that is passing by. So she kicks a ball over at Psyduck, but it goes over the Pokemon's head and lands on the ground. Then in some Team Rocket headquarters, I'm guessing, we have the executive man and woman kneeling and talking with Masked Man, who stands on a floor above them. The executives explain that Ryu, Ken, and Harry failed at their capture attempt and lost the clear bell. Those were the grunts that tried to stop Isween and Chris. The executives are named Sham and Carl, apparently, as Masked Man tells them he wants them to focus on getting Suicune, who will be going after more gym leaders, and just ignore Isween for now. Back to Chris, she has Chikorita Razor Leaf the Psyduck and then kicks another Pokeball at it, as that one should surely catch it now, but it also misses. So she panics and says there must be some special ability, and she grabs her Pokedex, but it doesn't work. Adventure 133, Absolutely Azumarill. Declaring the Pokedex broken, Chris has one last shot to capture Psyduck as it gets into the water. The Pokeball misses and plops into the water near Psyduck, and Chris crumples to her knees and wonders what is wrong with her. Then, out on Route 42, Chris is feeling despair and her Pokemon surround her. It seems it is evening now, and every Pokemon she's tried to capture since Psyduck has gone about the same. She keeps missing, and with the Pokedex damaged from her fall, she can't track Suicune either. So she reflects about how she trained to be a capture specialist 5 years ago when she only had one Pokemon, Chumi. She throws Pokeballs at a target drawn on a cliff wall and misses. Then an Arcanine charges by in a panic and knocks Crystal off a ledge, and both her arms are broken. Back to the present, she looks at her hands and wonders how she lost all that she learned. She also mentions her Pokegear being broken too, and it can barely make a call, and she needs to find a way to tell Professor Oak about everything.
And she's also kind of beating herself up about letting the bag hit the ground.
Sure, yeah, she's feeling very defeated, very frustrated, and like a failure. Then she sees an Azumarill in some water, and hears a voice say, "Stop it!" She turns and sees a girl running along with a Wobbuffet and wearing a Wobbuffet shirt. Her outfit and hair makes her look like a teenager, and her rapid talking makes her sound like one. But apparently, she is Crystal's mom.
Yeah, I was thinking she's not the best mom around. Neither's Ash's.
Well, that's true. She is super excitable and chatty, and apparently taught Crystal how to nickname her Pokemon. She says she was about to call Chris because she has a picnic basket full of Kurt-made Pokeballs. She wanted to give them to Chris because she figured she would be running low by this point. Then she asks Chris to do her super kick and catch the Azumarill for her, and immediately notices something is off with Chris. After failing to catch Azumarill, Crystal confesses that she's lost all her moves after fighting Suicune, and she feels terrible because she can't keep her promise to Oak. The poor girl is in tears. Then Friendly Mom seems much more severe. She tells Chris that she was compensated for the promise she made, so it is a job, and therefore she must see it through. She must be professional, and she is a pro that her mom taught herself. There's also an interesting moment where the mom glares at Chris, and Chris falls back as if she were slapped. Then, in the next panel, she seems to be even holding her cheek, like most comic characters do when they've been struck. So I was wondering if this was an edit for the American audience. And then Mom suggests Chris should go back to where she trained before, and so Chris is at Mount Mortar with her arms strapped behind her back so she can train with her feet again, like she did before, since she had broken her arms back then. And so I did. I researched it about the whole glare, and they did. They edited the comic. They changed the mom's arms, and so they took away the swinging of her hand, because she slaps her daughter in the original version.
Oh.
To get her to snap out of it. Be like, don't you... So that's why she's holding her cheek after that, too. She got slapped.
The mom doesn't seem great, especially when she broke her arms as a little girl, and, like, the mom wasn't around, like...
Well, she was out there training, so I don't think that was necessarily...
But, like, the way they say it later and stuff, it seems like she was out there until her arms got better.
That's a good point.
This mom seems a little sketchy to me.
Why did they remove the slapping part, though?
Because they would consider that being abusive and not something children would want to see or people should see, that kind of violence in a children's story.
Okay.
It's not the only thing. They edit a lot of things. All right. Adventure 134. Hooray for Heracross!
Hooray! Heracross.
We miss Heracross. So we cut back to Suicune, who arrives at the ruins of Alf, where it seems Bugsy is exploring some more with some new members joining his team. While Bugsy explains the unknown, one pops off the wall and he battles it with his Heracross and catches it. Then Bugsy catches sight of Suicune blurring through the ruins, and so he chases it down on Heracross until he comes to a dead end that has a secret message written in unknown letters, as in like the Pokemon Unknown. This same wall was one Suicune was looking at in the first couple of panels, but despite chasing Suicune to the dead end, it somehow isn't there anymore. The word written in symbols is Ananuke. The book gave us a subtitle of Escape, so I figured that must be the translation, but it isn't. Apparently, Ana supposedly means hole, and so the whole thing means escaping from a hole. So it kind of means escape, but not quite. It's more in-depth than that. So anyway, Bugsy figures this has something to do with an escape rope, which in Japanese is apparently called Ananuke no Himo, with himo meaning string or rope. So escape from a hole with a rope.
That's clever.
Right. So it's a secret message that doesn't translate for us, because we call it escape rope, not an Ananuke no Himo. I got a little lost digging into all of this, and so I'm sure there's some info that I'm a little off on or didn't quite dig deep enough into, because it was hard to figure it all out, what I did. But I think that's the gist. Anyway, Bugsy puts an escape rope up against the wall and it crumbles, reacting to the rope. And I'm a little nervous we may have been spoiled on something that we need to figure out when we get further in the ruins of Alph ourselves. It's like a walkthrough for us. Then Suicune appears, and Bugsy and the Pokemon battle. After Suicune deals with Heracross, Bugsy has Metapod and Kakuna put a capture net around Suicune, claiming it is the same kind of threads that are inside a Pokeball. Interesting. I didn't know there were threads in a Pokeball.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. I found that part really interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, Suicune breaks out with an Aurora Beam and escapes. Another gym leader failed to get Suicune. So we have another gym leader who has failed to get Suicune. But Bugsy finds a secret room behind the crumbled wall. Inside there, another word is written in unknown, and that is Hao-O, or Ho-Oh. Later, Bugsy explains the findings, and then wonders if Suicune wasn't just testing him, but trying to leave him a message. Then Adventure 135, Lively Larvitar. So back at Mount Mortar, Crystal's mom thinks Crystal has acquired a fear of failure, and it is what is causing her slump. That's why she had to go back to the beginning, where she learned to capture Pokemon after her arms were hurt. Then we get a flashback again to where Crystal had fallen as a little girl. She wakes up without pain thanks to some medicine, and her arms are strapped to bones. She finds out Parasect and Cubone helped her. Hitmonlee and Natu show up as well. Then little Crystal realizes they're all battered, and it was because they were fighting that Arcanine too. The Arcanine shows up growling as it has been on a rampage. But Crystal remembers it was running a little off before, and she realizes it has to do with a nasty cut on one eye. So she convinces the other Pokemon to cut Arcanine some slack, and Parasect puts medicine on the Arcanine. The Pokemon all help take care of her and Arcanine over the following month, with Hitmonlee helping her with things she'd need her arms for, and Natu using its psychic power to keep an eye out for danger. Then we cut back to the present, and Crystal is restraining herself with her Pokemon, but it still isn't going well, and then Arcanine is growling at something. A Larvitar shows up, and it attacks Archie's right side, which is still his weak side from the eye injury, and Crystal figures Larvitar might have been the one who caused the damage, since it knows to go for that side. Chris plans to release her other Pokemon, but the buttons are broken, and she thinks Larvitar did that as well. Fortunately, Chikorita is out, and it defends Archie's right side and battles the Larvitar until it evolves into Bayleaf, and sends Larvitar flying into a wall. Then she kicks a ball at it and catches it. Chris's mom heads back out on the open road now that Crystal is back to catching Pokemon, and Crystal races off to the southwestern sea again. As she runs off, Suicune watches, and then it darts off toward a city.
And when it's watching, it has the earring in his, like one of his, not his paw hand, but like he's holding it. We'll just say that.
He's holding it somehow. So then we're on Adventure 136, Crossing Crobat. In Goldenrod City, a ninja girl and her Ariados stand atop a tall building. She uses some Ariados thread and a grappling hook to get to another building and clings to Ariados as they climb up the side. She sneaks in through a vent or something and finds a room with something called a big pearl. Then she sends out wheezing to create smoke in the room, which reveals the crisscross of lasers, allowing her to lower herself through them without touching one. She cuts a hole in the glass and grabs the pearl. Then alarms go off, police show up, and she sends in a fortress to slow them down. Then a guy comes in and has them all stop as the test is at an end. He thanks the ninja girl, Janine, for finding the weakness in their security and that the payment will be deposited. The guy explains to the officers that he knows the woman only by her alias, Janine, that she's a ninja, and that she takes on jobs like that or even more difficult ones if the price is right. Ninja Girl is back out in the night and wondering what the point of it all is. She finds no meaning in her work. Then she flashes back to her kneeling behind Koga, the Fuchsia gym leader. He calls the girl daughter, and that she will eventually join him in service to their master, who we then see a picture of Giovanni. But until then, she must keep training. Back to the present, she is frustrated because she's been training and it is all wasted because Giovanni and her father have both been missing. She left the Fuchsia gym and headed for Johto, hoping to find some clues. Then something sparkles high on another building in the city. Suicune shoots over and battles, and she sends out Crobat. She seems to know Suicune has been battling other gym leaders, and she specifically says other gym leaders, which seems to suggest that she might be a gym leader. Because she even says, and now she is honored, it is her turn.
Oh, you've eluded every other gym leader. It says, they say you've challenged gym leaders, but then later it says other, so I was like, She doesn't say other, though.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so basically this in her earlier comment must mean she is the Fuchsia City gym leader, because Koga's been missing, so it needs a gym leader, right? She hopes news of her defeating Suicune will reach her father, and that might help her find him. In the battle, she has Crobat use Double Team, which makes it look like there are a bunch of Crobat. But Suicune is able to determine the real one and lets Janine know it was because of the shadow the real Crobat cast. Janine seems to confirm that Suicune is testing gym leaders to find a worthy trainer. She says they are similar, as she also seeks a master to serve. She reveals she is Koga's daughter, and that she is the leader of the Fuchsia City Gym, like with a big statement at the end, confirming it all. And then Suicune leaves.
And she's like accepting of her defeat. I like it when they accept it.
Yeah, instead of Whitney crying over it. Then we hit Adventure 137, Really Raikou and Entirely Entei, Part 1. Outside of Violet City, Faulkner is training as Skarmory. Then a birdkeeper trainer shows up and thinks Faulkner is a fellow Pokemon poacher, which I'm not really sure what that means. Like, what is a Pokemon poacher?
Somebody who catches Pokemon when in places that Pokemon are protected.
Maybe.
That's what I took out of the manga.
So this guy has a cooler full of Pokeballs. The guy looked familiar, and it turns out he is the same guy that Gold had outsmarted way back in, like, the first volume for Gold and Silver. The one with all the Hoot-Hoot, or with the Hoot-Hoot and all the ape. What did he have?
I don't know.
He had a Hoot-Hoot that confused people while they were supposed to catch whatever, like the 6 Pokemon or something that were running around. So the guy mentions that they are in the Safari Zone, which I thought was interesting because we haven't run into a Safari Zone in Johto, so I'm wondering if there is somewhere in Johto with a Safari Zone, and if it's somewhere near Violet City because they say that's where they are. But I don't know. Then an unforecasted storm arrives and rain pours down and a blast of lightning strikes nearby. Turns out the lightning bolt fried the tree and was the arrival of Raikou. Entei is there too, and the poacher is excited to try and catch them because they're worth a lot. But the poacher is nearly taken out by Entei, and Faulkner rescues him as he flies off on Skarmory. Suicune had been the only one seen since the event in Ecruteak, and so Faulkner had only been preparing for it, not the other two. Faulkner assumes they're testing him like the Suicune, and he realizes that fire and lightning against his flying steel Pokemon isn't the greatest match, but it is good training. He and the poacher are in a lot of danger as they are shocked by Raikou thundercloud following them and being blasted underneath by Entei. So he has Skarmory use agility, and the two legendaries send their attacks that cancel the other one out as they collide. Then Faulkner gets ready to catch them both, but we can see Suicune's silhouette coming in hot, although maybe it's cold because it's water and ice, but it is following him, and he has no idea as he tosses his Pokeballs. But then he feels a little weird. And then we go to Adventure 138, Really Raikou and Entirely Entei, Part 2. Suicune swoops in and uses Bubble Beam to block Faulkner's Pokeballs from reaching the other two legendaries. The poacher is scared and wants to leave because it is better to be alive than go for those Pokemon that may fetch a high price. So he's at least a practical crook. A lot of movies, the crooks are like, I'm going to still try, even though I'm probably going to die doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Faulkner can't pass up the challenge of battling all three, and he thinks he has a good plan. Suicune ends up shattering through Skarmory's steel wing, and then Faulkner has a surprise with his Pokeballs popping out wing-like things that make them behave like boomerangs as he tosses a ton out. But the Pokeballs are all vaporized by Entei and Raikou, so Faulkner takes off on Skarmory, but it starts to plummet as it struggles to fly. Suicune catches them and lowers them gently in a bubble. Then the three legendaries seem to discuss something as we see images of the Tin Tower and the Ho-Oh statue, and then they all leave. So Faulkner tosses one of his broken Pokeballs at the poacher, pinning him to a wall. He thinks Faulkner is taking out frustration for losing and calls for the police. And Faulkner reveals he passed his officer exam and is a police officer as well as a new gym leader. I forgot that he had been a police officer until that moment.
Yeah. I didn't remember that.
Because he was the sketch artist guy that Gold lied to about Silver.
I thought this part was really funny.
Yeah.
Because I knew that he wasn't a poacher, but yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgotten about his police history. So he arrests the poacher and flies off on Skarmory, with the poacher dangling from it. Faulkner realizes there is something else besides coming from the same land that must tie the three legendaries together. Then we see Red climbing a mountain with his Charizard beside him. And we move on to Adventure 139, Raising Raichu. We are at the top of Mount Silver, and Sabrina is soaking her arm in the hot spring with a Venomoth hanging with her. I was confused about the Venomoth, since Sabrina's psychic, but, She's been soaking it every day for a year, apparently, which she mentions to Lieutenant Surge, who calls her. He has apparently been working on an investigation into Team Rocket dealings in Johto. All the former leaders are accounted for, so none of them are heading up the gang's activity, and they should have all disbanded since losing Giovanni. So they must know where Koga is?
Oh. Ooh, I didn't think about that.
I didn't either until just now, I think. Anyway. But teaming up with the crew of the Aqua, Lieutenant Surge has made many trips to Johto and has discovered there is a new boss in town, and he's managed to keep it a secret from Giovanni and the rest of the former leaders. Lieutenant Surge comes upon a Rage candy bar shop. There were reports of something strange coming in and out during the Gyarados event at the Lake of Rage. So he goes in and hears something below. So he breaks the floor and drops down to investigate the Team Rocket headquarters of Mahogany Town. He finds that it also doubles as a power plant, and he's going to see what he can discover. But then, Masked Man appears and seems very unthreatened. The two battle a little with Raichu and Houndour, but Houndour howls and brings in a lot more wild Houndour surrounding Surge and Raichu. Then they all howl, which makes it impossible to move for some reason. Masked Man says those that come snooping get put to an end, and he mentions how he put gold and silver at the bottom of the lake, and that's where he'll put Surge as well. But the lieutenant was prepared and set a timer for 5 minutes that, when it goes off, all his electrodes pop off his belt and grow. He claims to be the combat leader of Team Rocket, and any real leader would have seen this coming.
I think that they can't move because, when there's intimidation by other Pokemon, they sometimes flinch and can't move. So it was probably just basically doing that.
Yeah, it could be. Or it caused paralysis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then, with self-destruct, Lieutenant Surge escapes. He does recognize that the masked man is dangerous as he crawls over to his boat at the Lake of Rage. Then something starts to bubble in the lake. There seem to be some feathers and a chunk of ice down there. And then we're on Adventure 140. Do-si-do with Dodrio. Surge goes down and finds a red Gyarados in ice. It breaks out and he thinks he's being attacked and has Raichu charge his submarine thing's laser. But the Gyarados is trying to get into some other ice block, and Surge recalls Masked Man saying 2 brats were at the bottom of the lake. So he uses the laser to cut into the ice and recovers a lot of belongings, but no kids, who obviously could not survive frozen under a lake for days. But one of the things he finds to his surprise is a Pokedex. Then we cut over to Olivine City, where Crystal is. She has all her stuff repaired and is ready to head to Cyanwood to catch the Pokemon there, but she doesn't have any Pokemon with Surf, so she'll have to wait for a boat. Then she spots 2 Pikachu in the water, with one using Surf. Crystal is almost knocked off the dock by a Dodrio that charges forward. The writer was worried about Choo-Choo, who wants to learn to surf like Pika. Yep, this is Yellow. And she recognizes Crystal, who she has a drawing of, and was looking all over for.
The drawing is kind of funny.
It is really funny.
Crystal asks a lot of questions, and Yellow thinks that's too many and says to just follow, and then takes off. So now Crystal and Yellow got to meet. Woohoo! Adventure 141. Hello, Lickitung.
Oh, and Crystal thinks Yellow is a boy, because Yellow wears her hat.
Oh, yeah. Everybody thinks Yellow's a boy, except for those that know. Crystal races to catch up, and then suddenly Yellow and Bayleaf and maybe some others are all wrapped up in a bunch of Lickitung tongues. That was fun to say. Turns out the Lickitung were probably attracted to the scent coming from Bayleaf, who recently evolved and can't quite control the scent yet. Crystal also finds it had put the boy, Yellow, to sleep as well. So we are, as you said, still going with Yellow looking like a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a question I had after that whole, reference to she, even though Red didn't know the secret yet, or whatever, back when we saw them for the first time in the Silver and Gold comics. Despite waking up high in the air, wrapped up in Lickitung, Yellow seems fine. Yellow also realized the scent from Bayleaf was what caused her to pass out.
She also was surprised to find out she was floating, but she quickly realized that was fine.
Yellow sends out Raticate, which causes the Lickitung to release Yellow and Bayleaf out over the water. But Yellow is caught by her Butterfree, and she has hold of Bayleaf. Then she tells Crystal to return all her Pokemon to Pokeballs and join her in flying across the water. The Pikachu surf during this, and Yellow confirms that Crystal is trying to get Suicune, and that's what she was sent to help with. Then they see Mr. Fisherman on his boat, and go to join him. Crystal wonders if Yellow knows something she doesn't, and Yellow says, "Of course, I'm the one who woke the legendaries up." Then we cut to Ecruteak Gym, and Morty has returned with Ghastly and Mischievous. A Magnemite pins his arm against the door of his gym, and his gym or the tower, I don't remember, but against a door anyway. And Lieutenant Surge is wondering if Morty is the one who can see the unseen.
I'm pretty sure it was the gym. It's got a ghost symbol above the door.
I couldn't remember. I remembered it was a door, but that was about it.
Oh wait, it even says Ecruteak Gym.
Oh, perfect. Morty gets ready to hit Surge with a Psybeam from Misdreavus, but Surge also has Raichu's tail ready to stab Morty. Deadly. Surge wants Morty to use his powers on the gear he salvaged from the ice. He would use Sabrina, but she's recovering. Surge thinks the kids might have survived, and they fought Masked Man, so he needs to talk to them and learn what they know. That way, he can be better prepared to deal with Masked Man. He even offers to pay, and it turns out the money he is offering is actually legitimate from working aboard the Aqua. So Morty agrees to help. So Surge is making legitimate money and not just being a jerk face. And then, our final adventure for this volume. 142. Really Remoraid. Morty gets to work, and we cut back to the boat with Yellow, Crystal, and Mr. Fisherman. Crystal is nervous and a bit suspicious, but doesn't think Yellow is crazy or evil. But she can't believe a little guy like that beat the Elite Four, as Yellow and Mr. Fisherman claim. So Crystal calls Oak, and he asks if she has met Yellow yet, which confirms things. Then he sends Data over, and we find out Yellow's age. It's 12. This is all 2 years after the Elite Four, right? Or was it 1? I can't remember.
I don't know. I thought thought it might be 2 years.
Or was it 2 years after the tournament to the beginning of Yellow's story, and then 1 year after the Elite Four?
I have no clue.
I don't know.
But Crystal is shocked.
Yeah, Crystal's shocked that Yellow is older than her, because Crystal is 11 herself. Fisherman and Yellow assumed Crystal was working her way towards Cyanwood, and so they got the boat ready to help her get there once they met up. But they mainly want to give what info they can about the legendaries. They confess Yellow didn't so much as wake up the legendaries as happened to be at the scene when they did wake up. Yellow was looking for a mysterious Pokemon that disappeared during the battle with the Elite Four, Lugia, though they don't know it's Lugia. Then, before more discussion can be had, a school of Remoraid show up. They are ramming the boat, and so Crystal goes into action. She has everyone hold their breath and tells Parasect to widen the range of its spores. Then she places a bunch of Pokeballs around her on the deck in a circle and spin kicks them to capture all the Remoraid after they were spored. Yellow is amazed and says she has never been good at capturing wild Pokemon. Hardly ever does it, which confuses Crystal. If the little guy could defeat the Elite Four, then how can he not be good at capturing Pokemon? But they respect one another and Crystal seems more at ease. Then there is a discussion about Oak seeing some migration from the Seafoam Islands prior to a catastrophe, and that might be what's happening here as well with the Remoraid. Then the boat gets caught in the largest whirlpool Mr. Fisherman has ever seen, and he doesn't think they can get out. They see something below the water. Then we cut to Morty, who says he found them on an island near a whirlpool. The pictured island looks like it has a volcano or something in the middle, and we cut to some dark part of the island, maybe inside that mountain-like formation. And there, on the ground, are two boys. And standing over them is Entei.
Wait.
And when we looked at the picture of the mountain with the whirlpool next to it, their boat was in the whirlpool.
Yes.
Okay, so that confirms my suspicion. An island near a whirlpool?
The Whirl Islands, which is on the way to Cyanwood. And that is where we end, so to be continued. And now it's time for... so that is our coverage for the manga and our games, so now it is time to move on to Pokemon cards. Alright, so I'll be opening Scarlet and Violet Shrouded Fable with the green and black and pink bear on it. I don't remember what it is.
I think it's like Okidori or something.
Okidori? Yeah, it could be. Because it's not Monkey Dory. Monkey Dory looks like a monkey.
I'm opening Scarlet and Violet Obsidian Flames with a Dragonite on it.
I'm also opening Obsidian Flame or Scarlet and Violet Obsidian Flames with a Dragonite on it.
I'm opening Scarlet and Violet Temporal Forces with an electronic reindeer on it.
Something like that. All right, so Flame, why don't you start us off?
All right. Audino? Is that how you pronounce that?
I think so. The Audino, something.
I got a colorless Audino.
It's basically audio and dino put together.
And then I got a fire-type Charmander. I don't know what other type that would be. And then I got a Dragon Dratini.
Ooh.
I like
What
Dratini.
energy does
It's
it
perfect
use?
for...
It uses a colorless energy.
And it's perfect for the Pokemon on the front of your pack.
Oh.
Is that what Lance used too when he hyper beams the guy inside that building? Did he use Dragonite to do it? He used one of his quote-unquote dragon-type Pokemon, but that could have been Dragonite, Gyarados, Aerodactyl.
I don't know.
My next one is a grass-type Oddish. And I got a Steel Skarmory. I have a Psychic Espeon. Evolves from Eevee.
Espeon!
Evolves from Eevee. This is actually one of my favorites. A Water-type Sharpedo is also one of my first cards ever. A Water-type Timple. Trainer Supporter card, Team Star Grunt. Put an energy attached to your Pokemon or opponent's active Pokemon on top of their deck. Oh, that's a sneaky way to remove energy. I got an Electric Toxtricity, evolves from Toxel.
Ooh, nice. Reverse Hollow.
It's just shiny on the outside and the inside.
Okay.
For my basic energy, I
Oh,
got...
that was your rare card.
Oh, it is. And then my energy is a Fire-type energy.
Nice. All right, Rosella, you're next.
Okay, let's see. Ooh, a deerling, a grass-type deerling. It's so cute.
To go with your reindeer-type Pokemon on your packet.
Yeah. Pidove. A colorless. It has an ability, Emergency Evolution. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's remaining HP is 30 or less, you may search your deck for an Unpheasant EX and put it onto this Pidove to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. Pinecone. Mawile.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I always get the name wrong.
A steel type. Latias. It's that guy.
Yep, Latios and Latios.
Oh, that's cool.
I've seen like a Pokemon movie or something, and I love it so much.
That's actually, I think, our next movie to cover.
Yay. Psychic type.
I've seen clips of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
Woohoo! I don't know the movie, so.
Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. An ancient card. The ancient Pokemon this card is attached to gets 60 plus HP, recovers from all special conditions, and can't be affected by any special conditions. Iron Treads, a steel type, and a future. Ability, Dual Core. As long as this Pokemon has a future booster energy capsule attached, it is fighting and steel type. My reverse holo is Ribombee, evolves from Cutiefly. One time I thought I found a Cutiefly in a sword, but it was this. And I'm like, oh, that's a cute Cutiefly. It has a scarf. It's a psychic type. So cute.
Yeah, I think they're fairy, but there's no more fairy type in the card, so.
Which makes me sad. They were pretty. Roserade evolves from Rosalia, grass type. Ability, Poison Point. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if the Pokemon is knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now poisoned. I think for my rare card, which is 2-star, Explorer's Guidance, Ancient, and it's like one of those full art cards where it's the picture with the words printed on. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck and put 2 of them into your hand. Discard the other cards. And then for my basic energy, I have a dark energy.
I'm willing to trade you my fire energy for that dark energy.
You seem really good at getting these, like, full art, rare, shiny trainer cards.
Yeah, I still have that other weird guy. He's like...
Yeah. All right, Ruby.
All right, let's see. My first one is Larvesta, fire type. Then I got a Fungus, grass type. Pidgey, colorless type. Litwick, fire type. Poppy, supporter trainer card. Move up to 2 energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. Lunatone, psychic type, ability, New Moon. If you have Soul Rock in play, prevent all effects of any stadium done to your Pokemon in play. Ooh, Dartrix evolves from Rowlet.
Yeah.
Grass type. I like him. Reverse Holo Espeon evolves from Eevee.
Let me see it.
Psychic type. Oh, just a minute. There's like a rainbow on its like back almost. Like some sun was shining through.
Yeah, I think this is the exact same as Flames, except that it's got the reverse holo going on.
Then I have Togekiss evolves from Togetic, which evolves from Togepi. Psychic type. Ability, Precious Gift. Once at the end of your turn, you may use this ability. Draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. Oh, that was a rare card. And I think my official rare is Scolvillian. Evolves from Capsicid. Grass type. Ability, Double type. As long as this Pokemon is in play, it is Grass and Fire type. Then a Water energy for all my water Pokemon.
All right. I have Absol, dark type. I have Drowsy, psychic type. Ooh, I have the Grass Joltik. I have Seadra, evolves from Horsey, water type. Ooh, I have Decidueye, evolves from Dartrix. I have the Pokemon Tool trainer card, Binding Mochi. I have Iron Moth, fire type, future card. Ooh, I have a Stadium trainer card, but it's one of the Ace spec cards, the pink ones, and it's called the Neutralization Zone. Prevent all damage done to Pokemon that don't have a rule box, both yours and your opponent's, by attacks from the opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V.
I like the pink cards. They're cool.
Yeah.
Well, they're meant to be cool. That's why you can only, have so many in your deck or something. Let's see, what does it say? You can't have more than one ace-spec card in your deck.
Yeah, but they're just cool for collection cards.
Yeah, there's a cool color and everything, too. I just like them.
Oh, yeah. They give 80s vibes.
Right? Well, I guess there was probably like a reverse holo, too. And definitely a rare card. Then I have Golbat, my other reverse holo, dark type, evolves from Zubat. And my rare card is Haxorus, evolves from Fraxiur, which evolves from Axew. It's a dragon type. It uses fighting and steel type energy. Ooh, and my basic energy is also like holo or reverse holo or whatever they're called. And it's electric energy, lightning energy. All right, so that is our episode, I believe. So Routes Through Pokemon is a Hunterfield Institute production. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and other podcasting platforms. You can also find us on YouTube at the Hunterfield Institute channel. Just look for the Routes Through Pokemon playlist. So go ahead and leave comments there and like, subscribe, rate, review. And then you can also find card images and stuff on a few different channels. So you can find it on Routes Through Pokemon, the Facebook page. But I also post them on X and other things at Hunterfield Inns. And on Instagram, kinetic_card. And if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at hunterfieldmanor@gmail.com. Just give us some encouragement or put us down because we don't know enough about Pokemon and we say their names wrong. And correct any mistakes or any suggestions you might have. We're always willing to engage. Next week, Ruby and I will be wrapping up the Whirl Islands. So we wrapped up the World Cup last time, but there's still another arc to go through and a really cool trilogy of episodes that could have been its own movie. And then we make it back to Olivine City where Ash finally gets to take on Jasmine, which means then Ruby and I will be able to jump back into the video game story part, like the actual journey. But until then, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next route. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sayonara.
Adios.
Part 37. Distractions. The man with the R on his shirt walked right up to Murasaki and then knocked into the kid's arm as he continued past him. "Watch it, kid." Taking the advice of the man, Murasaki did watch. He watched the rude person walk back to the place and speak to someone there, and then a secret door opened up, and the man vanished through it.
What the?
Murasaki quickly covered his mouth, realizing he shouldn't say anything. He backed up behind one of the gambling machines and hoped the person apparently standing guard hadn't noticed. He climbed up onto a nearby stool and started playing around with the machine as if he were gambling himself despite not having any coins for it. After a couple of minutes, he felt safe enough to peer back around the corner and found the guard wasn't at his post. This seemed like the perfect opportunity to try and sneak in to see what was behind the secret door. Trying to appear casual while also looking for any sign of the guard or any other R shirts hanging around, Murasaki made his way to where he thought he'd seen the door. Finding the door itself proved to be a lot more difficult than he thought it would be. He couldn't seem to find any sort of seam anywhere to distinguish its presence. Then he froze as a hand dropped onto his shoulder. "What do you think you're doing, kid?" Murasaki nearly jumped out of his skin and looked up.
What?
"Why are you back here?" It was the guy who had been guarding the secret entrance earlier, and Murasaki was quickly trying to think of an excuse. Noticing a poster on the wall, Murasaki launched into a tale.
I got lost. My dad was so wrapped up in the machines, I think he forgot I was here. I was trying to find him back, and then I saw this cool poster and got distracted.
The R guard narrowed his eyes at the boy. Well, there ain't no one back here, so scram!
Right. Of course. Will do.
Murasaki wasted no time getting out of there. He even left the building, as it seemed the guard was keeping a careful watch on the boy after that. Once outside, Murasaki realized he had almost done something really stupid. If there were any problems beyond that hidden door, what was he supposed to do? He didn't have any Pokemon with him to help him should danger arise. He was lucky. That thought brought back to his mind his original goal. He needed to get some Pokeballs so that his Oddish could be patched up and ready to go with Murasaki to Lavender Town. The mystery of the game corner still nagged at him, but since there was nothing he could do about it right then, he pushed it away and focused on getting to the Pokemart. After purchasing a handful of Pokeballs, Murasaki returned to the Pokemon Center, and his little Oddish was then taken back for some care. The boy waited for a while, and soon the Oddish was returned and Murasaki was ready to get back on the road. Taking a little more caution, Murasaki left toward the east of Celadon again, and this time made it to the gates of Saffron. Unfortunately, when he entered, he was immediately met by a guard that informed him Saffron City was closed to visitors for the time being.
What? But what about all the trainers going for the gym badges? You can't keep them from battling Sabrina?
I'm sorry, young man, but we are dealing with a situation at the moment, and it is unsafe for anyone to travel through Saffron.
Well, what am I supposed to do now? This is like the only way to Lavender Town.
Lavender Town? Oh, well that's easy. Just use the underground tunnel.
Use what?
The guard led Murasaki to the door, opened it, and pointed over toward a building just a little way off. In there you'll find the path that leads right underneath Saffron and will get you closer to Lavender Town.
Really? Cool. Thanks, mister.
Yes, anytime. And if you get the chance, he said in a hoarse voice, bring me something to drink. We'll call it even then. The guard grinned.
Sure thing.
Murasaki gave a thumbs up to the guard and headed out in the direction he'd been pointed. Inside the building, he passed someone muttering about losing supplies down in the tunnel. Murasaki descended the steps and continued marching for the other end, excited to get to Lavender Town. Hey, look who it is! Murasaki froze on the spot. He recognized that voice, and if he was right about who it was, then that meant his two buddies were right there with him. How's our young little friend, Mura? Murasaki sighed and turned to find the trio that were always picking on him.
Hi, Zeke.
The leader of the little group stepped back in mock hurt. Ouch! I don't think little Mura here is happy to see me. Well, that ain't good, chimed in a short, scrawny boy to Zeke's left. Don't you like to see your friends, Mura?
Oh no, I just love it when you guys drop by.
Murasaki's voice dripped with sarcasm. I don't believe you, Zeke replied. I don't think you're being very sincere.
Whatever gave you that idea?
The thicker bully on the other side of Zeke spit out a wad of gum. Looks like Mura's forgetting his respect. Maybe he thinks he's all tough now that he's got a Pokemon. Zeke straightened and pulled out a Pokeball. Well, I guess it's time to teach you a lesson. Let's battle. To be continued.